Welcome back to the Dear Andy podcast. I'm your host, Abby Abs. Coming to you live from my bedroom in the heart of Los Angeles. This is podcast number 2, all about Survivorhood. Welcome back to the Dear Andy podcast. We are going to talk about Survivorhood today. While this may be a very touchy topic, we'll just see how it goes. This is a barrel episode. That's the second episode. It's a barrel episode. But I'm ready for it. I would just like to talk to y'all about what Survivorhood is essentially like. Or at least how my journey as a survivor has been. So, my life after sexual assault, I think, is a very interesting one because of my circumstances. Right after the assault, it really drastically changed who I was. I no longer was this happy-go-lucky person. It was very interesting because it was just a major shift in behaviors and personality change. I was once very happy-go-lucky, very outgoing, very extroverted, very friendly, and then suddenly I'm closed off. I'm reserved. I'm introverted, but I'm thoughtful still. It was just a drastic change in who I became, and I don't know. This journey has been a very interesting one. It has many ups and many downs, and I think that I feel like it gave me new purpose in this life that I live. So let's go all the way back to when it first happened. I really didn't remember much. I don't recall. I recall very specific things, but I'd rather not give that into full detail because I don't want to put a trigger warning. For myself, at least. And it's just very interesting that after my body just really shut down. My emotions were no longer there. They were super numb. Immediately after. I remember when I came home, I started chanting, I said no, I said no, I said no, I said no, I said no. And then there was a point where I blacked. And I know what happened in that point that I blacked. And I'm not going to talk about it. Maybe in the future. But I remember my roommate, who was also a survivor, and that I was there for her and she was there for me, and I'm very grateful for that. She knew that all I had to do was turn my brain off. Because that's what she had to do. That's what she did. So she had no frame of reference of taking care of somebody else who was on the other side. Now, I was on the outside looking in, and now she's now in the same position. So I remember us walking to a dispensary, and I was holding my bunny Grayson. I got this cute, almost adult-sized gray bunny. His name is Grayson because he's a gray bunny. And it became a comfort item that I really attached myself to. And for a long time on campus, because my perpetrator is another student at my college, I didn't feel safe. I no longer felt safe in my own body, so I needed a comfort item with me at all times. So I started bringing Grayson to class. I had no shame. I gave no fucks. I was just look, you can ask me about it and I'll tell you about it. But I am no longer going to be ashamed of my little Grayson. I think having a comfort item really encouraged me to still stay on campus, irregardless of the fear and anxiety of running into my attacker. It was hard to want to stay focused in the game. And I think at that time, my brain just shut off and it was like, you got to get done. You got to just get the hell out of here. And I think that's what I did for the rest of my college career. It was just like, get the hell out of here. So it was very interesting, to say the least. I say a lot, I'm sorry. Yeah, and right after I really started to smoke a lot more, I started to drink a lot more, and then I started to eat a lot more. And I think that's where a lot of my problems really stem from, was all of the things that all the bad things that I was trying to numb myself from were really bad things. So it would just be one after another. Every Thursday I would be drinking and smoking and then walking over to Jack in the Box and eating. Then repeat every single Thursday for months. And I thought I was fine. Like, my friends thought I was coping fine. If I was struggling, I would tell them about it, but in the setting on our Thursday nights, we would just be drinking, smoking, eating. And it caught up to me very quickly. I saw massive weight gain immediately. And I was still drinking, but I was still underage, so it was only when I had money or when I can like bum drinks off my friends, pretty much. Sorry. It was a very hard time for me because I didn't know what was the proper way of coping. Because of all of my friends that were survivors, they were coping in very toxic ways also. Whether it was losing themselves, that's how they found comfort. And each and every survivor, I believe, finds comfort in different ways, and mine just happened to be weed, alcohol, and food. So it went on. I mean, like, the every Thursday ritual stopped, but I was still drinking periodically, and I don't think it got worse until I turned 21, was when I had easy access to drinking. I remember maybe in the weeks or months following my assault, I just remember showing up to class high all the time. Like, I was just baked as fuck, out of my mind. Like, I clearly remember a day where I was sitting in front of my favorite professor's class, stoned out of my mind. Because I had an edible. I was like, this thing is not going to hit me. It's fine. And I was just like, I need to go home. I had Grayson with me. I was just not paying attention anymore. I really lost sight, and I don't know how I was so inebriated a lot, yet still did really well in school. And that's the part of, like, my memory that gets really fuzzy, because I knew that I had to get my shit done, but I knew that I had, like, that balance. That I was like, well, I can get fucked up as long as I get my shit done. And that's just kind of how it went. It was school numbing, school numbing, school numbing, school numbing. That's pretty much how it went. And it's really unfortunate that that's how it really ended up. How it resulted in just trading one thing for another. And I think that really didn't help. Obviously. But I think something started to change in me when my school has a peer education program about sexual assault awareness and rape prevention. And that's where I really found a niche where I was like, I don't want to feel this way anymore. The things I'm learning in my class are really community focused. Sorry. I was going to say community-based, community-focused. So I wanted to do something that really meant a lot to me that was cathartic. And that's where I started to see that shift in myself where if I was going to stay in academics or stick to academia, I was wanting to do more. So I wanted to do research. And so in one of my classes, I think was a major turning point in my life, gave us the opportunity to do a research study. We are able to conduct a either qualitative or quantitative research study on whatever topic of our choosing. We just had to get it approved, and it was fine. So I went for a qualitative research study with two other girls who were my really good friends. They were there with me from the beginning. Love them. Shout out to Abby and Brittany. Love y'all. They're really there, and that my professor was really there for me in that moment, in that critical moment where I wanted to find answers. I knew that my abuser had a fetish for Filipino women, and that really bothered me. Like, that has stuck with me to this day. And I was like, I want answers, because the Asian American population at my college was very moderate, but the highest Asian ethnic group was Filipinos. So I was like, oh hell no, like there's got to be some sort of correlation. Like I knew in my heart that if I was one, there had to be others. So I wanted to do research. I wanted to do a research study on other survivors. So that's what led to my research topic, and I was able to interview, with the help of my colleagues, I was able to interview, or we all interviewed, about 9 women total, varying from Chinese American women to Filipino American women. And we found that, I believe it was 5 out of 8 of them experienced some form of sexual harassment, whether it was catcalling, all the way from catcalling to a incomplete rape. And so these were just women that were our friends. We did not go knocking to every single classroom trying to find Asian girls and ask them like what their experiences were. Like, these were our homies. And like that's what really made it worse, or that really encouraged me to step outside of my comfort zone and really push to do something bigger than myself. When I was doing the research and when we were writing the paper, it was hard to find sources, or at least to our capacity, it was really hard to find sources on Asian American women and sexual assault, or at least Southeast Asian women, Filipino American women in particular. I really wanted to find the nitty gritties, like who were our abusers? Like, were they collectively of a specific race? Were they all just in heteronormative relationships? What was it? And so our research was mainly straight relationships. And that's a niche that I wish that we could have delved into deeper, was maybe like an LGBTQ plus relationship amongst Asian American women and their experiences with sexual assault. Like, maybe if they were abused by maybe either side or whatever. It was just, there's very many holes that we wanted to fill, but we didn't have a whole lot of time. And so after that research, I really found my life's true purpose, and it was to serve and help and be a voice for other Filipino American women about being a survivor. And it's not been an easy journey, for sure. It's not easy to be an advocate. It's not easy to talk about my story and how life really changed because of it. But I feel like if I didn't experience life the way I did, I would just be doing a job that I didn't like. Like, I feel like there would have been a hole in my heart, but I wouldn't have to go through all this pain. and all this suffering and all this trauma and all this fear, I think about like what my life would have been like, and would I have been happy doing sports journalism, or would I not? Would I have tried to find something much bigger and deeper than myself? I don't know. I really don't know. But I think survivorhood is a never-ending journey of trying to patch yourself up together again. And we're not even talking about the reporting process. I think I'm going to talk about that in a whole different podcast. But survivorhood is a million things. And what I've come to understand is, or come to realize, is that talking to others really helps. Being a resource and being a guide to other women really helps. And there will always be people that will believe you no matter what. And those that don't believe you, fuck them. Fuck them. You don't need them. Because being a survivor is not an easy process. It's a very delicate and very hard process. And if you're surrounding yourself with people who don't want to hear what you have to say, then get rid of them. There will be other people like me and so many people that are willing to listen and to hear you out and that want to help you. I wish that I had gone to therapy a lot sooner, and I still have not gone to therapy yet. I think I'll talk about that in a later podcast. But the journey has not been an easy journey, and I know that working with survivors is hard. It's traumatic and it's hard, but there's a point where I feel like if no one's going to do this, then who will? And even if it's draining, being an advocate is so mentally and emotionally draining. And to put this as your life's work is really hard. But I think this is exactly what I want to do in this life. I feel like this is what I was meant to do, is to help people. And it sucks that it's at this capacity of being a survivor. But I'm very fortunate to have a very supportive family and friend group and support system that really are there for me. And not everyone has that. And so I want to be that for someone else. I want to help others find that. I want to help others get help, find resources, and really, I want to change lives, I think, is what I want to call it. Because having a strong support system isn't something that's given. I know too many women who have come forward who even don't want to say anything to their families because they're afraid that they're not going to believe them. And I've had people who've confided in me saying that their family didn't believe them. And it's easier to band together with other survivors than it is to find people or stick around with people who don't want to support you. We're all here to lift each other up, and we're all here to listen to each other, and I think that's the most important part of this whole journey. I've only been almost 3 years since the assault. I'm coming up on the assault shortly, and it's going to be hard for me to talk about it in the month of August. I don't know if I will post anything. I want to, I really do, but we're just going to have to see how it goes, because people have different ways of coping, and I really found that every year I've become an angry, irrational person, and I've been living at home every August since, and I'm not going to chalk it up to the heat, because I'm going to definitely chalk it up to my irritability of me not being able to properly sort through and feel through my emotions and my thoughts in this very sensitive time. Every year it's the same, or I think last year was the first time I pushed away all these feelings, or I suppressed them. I really suppressed all of my emotions in the month of August, and it just hit me like a train in September. It just got worse. So I've been on both sides where I've felt through it and then I've suppressed it, and now ooh, excuse me. I'm in a place where I'm not able to suppress it, and I'm not able to just feel through it and then go live my life. Like, I'm back home. I'm gonna be around my parents, and they're gonna be around me, and this is all new uncharted territory for me this year. Every year since has been a process and a journey, and we all know, and now my family has come to ask me, like, what do you want to do? Like, is there something you specifically want to do to take your mind off of it, or how can we help? And I'm very grateful, and I'm very blessed to have my family, who is extremely supportive and is always an open ear, and not everyone has that. So life after sexual assault is hard, but there will always be people who love you and who care about you. And like I said, if they don't care about you, then fuck them, get rid of them. Because it's going to hurt you more than you think. But I just wanted to share this part of Survivorhood before year 3 hits. Thank you for listening, y'all. I hope to see y'all come back and talk more about Survivorhood. Bye, y'all.